Cercis canadensis is the eastern redbud. This is actually the Oklahoma state tree. It's a small tree. It grows throughout Oklahoma. Kind of an understory tree under the canopy of oaks, a little bit more sunlight loving than true understory. You see it a lot at the edges of the forest where it gets just a little bit of protection from the wind, but still gets plenty of sunshine. These particular examples that you see are out in full sun, which it will tolerate full sun just fine in Oklahoma. It's kind of a spreading canopy, so typically single stem and branching low and kind of spreading out almost like an umbrella, rounded crown. It does have a nice kind of golden yellow fall color, and the most showy ornamental feature is probably the spring bloom. The blooming in the spring, for the species, it's this kind of pinkish purplish, it's a pea-shaped flower. It blooms right off the stems, so you'll see sometimes even large branches with these clusters of the pinkish flowers directly off the stem. It's got a heart-shaped leaf. It's an alternate, simple heart-shaped leaf. You see this alternate arrangement on the stem. It's a little bit of a zigzag stem. The stem itself is dark gray, sometimes almost a reddish purple cast to it. There's a little bit of variation, but the stem's fairly dark. So these light flowers contrasting against the darker stem make for it to be a greater contrast and a showy flower. It's a perfect flower, so each one will produce a fruit. These kind of flattened pods, they start out kind of reddish on some of the plants, greenish on others, kind of depends on the foliage color of the plant, and then they mature to this sort of dark brown. They dry out and split open to let out a seed. The seedlings are very prolific. You can find seedlings coming up, not as bad as say a white mulberry, but they do come up fairly readily. They are native. A little bit difficult to transplant from a native stand if they're older. Young seedlings can be transplanted fairly easily, but when they're older, not so much. But they're widely produced in the industry, and they're not difficult to transplant from a container plant. There's a lot of different cultivars. Oklahoma has a little bit glossier leaf than the species and a deeper pink flower. Texas white has a white flower. Alba, a white flower. Burgundy Hearts is kind of interesting. It's got a deep burgundy foliage, and then Forest Pansy also has a purplish foliage, but it eventually during the season will change to green.